The mode of transportation we take is yet another form of expression. What we drive or use as a mode of transportation says a lot about who we are and what we are trying to portray. Tonight we're going to talk about expressing ourselves through our transportation choices.
Sweet. I enjoyed this conversation, and we haven't even had it yet. I'm like already on board.
Having a good ride.
I'm here for it, dude.
The cars that we drive mean so much. And I say transportation because it's not about cars only. Like I used to ride my bike to work all the time. Aurora, you ride your bike to work sometimes. Look at the face. I used to ride my bike to work sometimes.
I have a bike.
It's staring at me from my eye right now.
I feel like Aurora has like a really cool, like tricked out bike with like spinners and like pink, bright hot pink flames on it.
Yeah, and big ape hangers.
Just like this.
Yep.
Okay, it's a cute bike. It's blue. It's a Trek bike, townie, and it has a little basket on the front. It's super cute. I love it.
Nice.
It
has a basket
too. Yeah,
it has a little basket.
We gotta have
It's
somewhere to put the
quick
vodka,
release
right?
basket, guys.
If I paid you a large lump sum of money, could you catch me a pet squirrel?
That is such a random ask.
It is, but like, they're so
If I ever have
adorable.
The opportunity.
Is it the basket that allows her to
I'll
catch
try.
a pet squirrel?
That's right.
I for some reason now, and don't hate me for saying this. I swear to God, I'm not a douchebag. I think it's because the new hairstyle, okay, and the fact that she's super cool and very nice. I feel like she can like summon animals by singing. Is that just me, or have I been just watching a lot of Disney Plus?
I've been watching a lot of Disney, but you might be right.
That's just me.
Like the Pied Piper on her
And
bike.
she is named after a Disney princess. So
I
There you
am.
go.
And she
There you
does
go.
sing to animals, so
There you go.
You're onto
that
something
is.
here.
I know,
that is-
because I know that if Aurora can summon animals, I know Mark and I can definitely summon demons. That's for sure. Right, Mark?
That's about it.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
Oh, good lord.
Well, this is a great way to go with the conversation, of course, but it doesn't necessarily get into what we use as transportation, unless my gas transports me to places. But that's a whole different conversation. So, if you think about how what you drive represents who you are, it always reminds me of my keychain philosophy. How you can tell so much about a person by looking at their keychain. Have you ever done that?
That makes sense, actually.
So everybody kind of hands me a keychain. Every single person in the world. I'm walking down the street with a keychain. No, like whenever I talk about this, I have a look at their keychain and I make 4 or 5 points about a person that you can make just by what their keychain looks like.
Okay, I'm gonna test this theory. Hold on.
All right.
This is mine. It's all
Right. So you got a
fucked
lanyard
up.
that says what on it?
Uncommon Alliance. It's a car group that I'm in.
Uncommon Alliance. Okay. And what else is on the keychain?
I have Aurora, you might want to cover yours for this, but this is bad. I have dog tags from skateboarding trucks, one of which says loose trucks, loose women.
Okay, so I can tell that you're young, and I can tell that you drive a Toyota because that's the kind of key you have on there. And then I can tell that you really love your car and that you're very passionate about your vehicle because you have a beautiful lanyard that's all brightly colored.
Mhm.
You try and keep things very straightforward because you don't have a crap ton of things on that keychain. You
I got
have like
I got that on there too, a little.
Punisher
Punisher
again,
skull.
the Punisher. You love cartoons and comics. You're kind of a geek with the whole culture.
Oh, hell
that's
yeah.
kind of what I get from your keychain.
I think you're just making an assumption of what you already know, Brian.
Well, there's that. But at the same time, think about it. It's logical. When you look at somebody's
it makes
keychain,
sense.
that's a representation of their personality right there, right?
That's true.
And that directly relates to their car that they drive. And I could say this for all of us because I know all of our cars that we drive. I think, even though we may not have thought about when we were buying our vehicles, they represent who we are very well. For example, I'm gonna kind of spitball here. Aurora, you drive a really functional, well-built, economical, smart car. You drive a Mitsubishi, so you got great warranty. You've bought something that's going to be reliable for yourself. It's a wagon style, so you've got space. You like to be able to carry things with you because you do stuff. But it's a fun, sporty car too because you've got a sporty side to you. Mark, classic cars, trucks, like SUV kind of thing. You like a bigger vehicle. You like to feel like you're solid on the road. And the older cars, it's nostalgia. It's your generation. You love those cars. And I guarantee you have a soft spot for the sweet smell of gas and oil leaking on your floor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sean, you love a sportier car. You have your little Toyota. You love doing it up. You have a car club. I mean, not everybody has a car club. You love your car. You've named your car. You have a sticker of the car's name on the front of it. Mm-hmm. You love your vehicle, and it represents who you are. It's really nice. It's got lights underneath it. It's flashy. With your skateboarding, you're a very flashy kind of guy that way, right? Like you've got a big personality, and that's shown in your car. I drive
this man's onto something.
I drive a 2007 Pontiac G5 with rusted out quarter panels and absolute basic, no like roll down windows, no sunroof, basic car stereo system. The whole thing is very, very basic, just like me.
But it's also a true tell of the fact that you will always
beat the piss out of something until it's dead.
Well, there's that, but then there's a lot of work that went into this car.
That's true. She makes a point.
You keep going at it. You keep fixing it. You keep, bringing it back.
Loyalty.
And you actually, you have you take care of it.
It's the Franken car.
I love it. It took me a long time to get my own car. Again, it took me a long time to get into the position in life where I could have a car and Shelly can have a car. It's not easy these days having a car, especially a new one.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that a little bit too. Having our vehicles is important, obviously, for transportation, for getting to where we want to go. But there's so much more to our cars than that. If you think back at some of the vehicles that you've owned, guys, let's go down a list of some of the cars that we've had. Mark, you're laughing. Go ahead. You start with some of the vehicles.
It's a long list, isn't it, Mark?
Oh my God. No, actually, it's not. I keep a car. I keep a car until it's ready for the wreckers. So my first car was a 1980 Buick LeSabre, 4-door. You could put like 8 people in the trunk to get in the drive-in. And,
and you did.
It was of course. It was my dad's car, and I blew the engine one night playing silly bugger. And he parked it in the driveway and went out and bought a new car. So several years goes by, and I'm still driving Dad's car. And I said to him, "What are you doing with the old Buick?" And he says, "If you can fix it, you can have it." So out comes the old, I don't even know if they make it anymore, the print copy of the Auto Trader. And I find it had a Buick wide block 350 in it. So I found a guy that had a wide block Buick 350 from a 1973 Buick Skylark convertible. And he was selling it for $1 a cubic inch. So I bought it. But of course, things don't quite made up when you're going from a 73 to a 1980. So I bought a 1979 Buick LeSabre as a parts car. So a lot of parts from the 79 went into the 80. So the engine was a mashup of 1973, 1979, and 1980. And then I blew the tranny out of it. So I bought a Turbo 400 out of a 76 Buick Century and put that in.
Holy moly.
And it was my buddy and I put a shift kit in it before we put it in. There we are in the basement of my parents' place with this transmission rolled over on its back, and we're like in the guts and putting a shift kit in it.
This is music to my ears right now.
for a car that weighed, about the same as the Empire State Building, it would lay down a strip of rubber into second gear with that shift kit in it. It was pretty good. My dad was kind of pissed because my car was faster than his.
But again, it was still his car technically.
Yeah, it was still in his name, because otherwise I would have had it recertified, right? So
right.
But yeah, I love that car. And then actually, my first date with Chris, I was driving that car, and it was raining, and she's looking at the windshield. She's like, "What's wrong with the windshield?" It was raining, and the drops of water, and every time you hit a bump, you could see the windshield shifting back and forth. The subframe on the windshield had broken, like the A-pillar had broken.
Oh, shit.
On both sides, so it was just loose. Yeah,
just floating.
Kind of like when a filter is loose in the rings, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, geez, what a good analogy.
So anyway, I went out and I bought myself a 1983 Pontiac Grand Prix, and I drove it. I'm trying to think how long I drove that. it was dying, like it was rusting out. And then I went out and I bought myself a 1988 Trans Am GTA, which is still in the garage. So I still got that one. And I guess for main drivers, I mean, I had some winter beaters in there. I had an 86 Mustang LX. It was 3 colors of gray and rust. It used more oil than fuel. I had a Ford Explorer, a 91 Ford Explorer. I had an 88 Honda Civic. That was a fun one. It was a little 5-speed car, little Honda Civic, as a winter beater. But it was all like riced out. It had the blue washer fluid lights on it, and it was low profile, black rims, the whole bit. And Chris and I were on our way to a friend's one night for dinner in the winter, and I pull up beside an RX-8 at the light, and
oh boy,
Chris is like, "What's that? That's nice." And I go, "Oh, it's an RX-8." I said that rotary motor in them, and they're pretty quick. She goes, "Oh yeah." I go, "You want to see it go?" She goes, "Yeah." So light goes green. I'm in first gear. I sidestep the clutch. First, second, go to third, dash lights up. Car stops going forward. I coast off to the side. Chris goes, "What happened?" I said, "You probably don't want to know."
Oh no!
No.
So it broke the timing belt, and of course, the Honda Civics have an interference motor, and it smacked some the valves. Piston smacked the valves. The valves came loose. It swallowed 3 valves. One came out the side of the block.
Oh.
Yeah, that was fun. So I traded that to my mechanic for a lump of cash and a 1995 Chevy Cavalier. Was red also with ground effects and a little hood scoop on it. It's a nice looking car.
Have we all owned a Chevy Cavalier?
Oh yeah, I think so. Actually, there's a 99 Sunfire for sale up here right now for $1,500. I was going to buy it just for nostalgia. And then
I owned a Chevy, but not a Cavalier.
There you go.
Oh,
and then what did I have after the Cavalier? So I still had the Grand Am or the Trans Am. My Grand Prix, I blew the motor in that. I blew it all over Highway 11 at Highway 89.
So I think the takeaway from Mark's part of the conversation is don't give Mark your car.
And then
He'll blow something.
And then what did I have after that? Oh, I had my 05 Grand Prix GT, which is pretty much what your G5 is. It's the Grand Prix turned into the G5, right?
Well, the G5 is like a
was it the G6? Oh yeah, the G6
is a 2-door or a sportier version of a G5.
The Grand Am, yeah. So and then after that, what did I have after that? Oh, I had a Hyundai Tucson when I blew the motor in the Grand Am.
See?
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I blew the motor. I was about 60 kilometers south of New Lisker to pop the motor one Sunday night. On my way to, I was on my way to Kapuskasing for work.
Those are the worst when you're on a long trip and the car dies.
And then I had after that, I bought a 2010 Hyundai Tucson. And
I think we should have qualified this question before we asked it. Okay,
I drove
3 cars. How many cars? What cars do you own?
now, then I got into fleet vehicles. So my mother-in-law still has the Tucson. She drives the Tucson, and I had this one. I bought the fleet vehicle when I got restructured. So I now have a 2019 Chevy Equinox, and it's got a 1.5 liter turbo, and the turbo is itty bitty. It's like this big. We figure it makes about 5 pounds of boost.
Probably
yeah,
less,
but you
but
can
it's
have
okay.
turbo. But it says turbo on the back, so
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't turbo anymore.
Okay. It's funny. Shelly's car's a turbo too.
But yeah, so I mean, I suppose when you throw the winter beaters in the mix too, right? We laughed though. Like I had that Mustang with all the rust on it and everything, and we were Fast and the Furious. Yeah, we called it the Rustang. And the Fast and the Furious just came out. We were going to make our own movie with the winter beaters called The Rusted and Ridiculous.
I'm down for that. I'll be in that for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, you've had a lot of cars.
No. I mean, some of them, the ones I've had for a long time. Like, I mean,
Mark, one of your cars was 4 cars. Just one of them was 4 cars, 4 separate cars.
That's true.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but I mean, parts. You know.
Yeah.
Technically speaking.
I sort of hot-rodded that one, my dad and I. That was cool. My dad and I, we swapped the engine on that car right in the driveway. It was awesome.
That's actually something else that's part of it with, you're working with your father. I mean, the joy of working with your dad on a vehicle like that. I mean, that's another form of expression in itself, right?
Yeah,
Sorry, Aurora, you were going to say something.
It was fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say, though, like, I feel like all cars go through that, though. Like, you're changing out the parts to keep it alive. right?
Yeah.
Whether you're getting it from a parts car, you're getting it from a junkyard, you're buying a new part, or finding it used online, you're still getting it from another car.
And I've done
Or
all of
another-
those things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Sean, how about you, man? Any memorable vehicles that you could think of that have really shown your sense of expression?
I've only had 3. So it's a little bit bigger of a list than Mark's. My very first car was a standard 2006 turbo diesel Jetta. So that was my first car. I bought it for, I think, how much did I pay for it? I think it was $1,900.
Yeah.
And then I did one oil change on it. The window broke in my driver's side door, so I had to replace the whole door. So I had one silver door. Every body panel on that car was rusting, but there was not a blank window on the car. Like, it was just littered with stickers that were skateboarding brands and what else, right? I beat the shit out of that car for a year. And then the girl I was dating at the time told me I needed another car that was 4 doors. That's because she had a kid. So I was like, okay, cool. So then I'm just going to get another car with 4 doors. Meanwhile, I wanted a coupe, so, I could be fast and not so furious. So, because I'm a nice guy when I want to be. So I ended up getting I think it was a 2014 Chevy Sonic. Now, this car is about the size of a baby's foot.
Yes,
It is,
Sonic.
it
Tiny
is
little
small. It was automatic, and I hated every waking second of my life driving that piece of shit. So the thing is that I named my cars after songs.
Okay.
So my Jetta was called Roxanne.
Nice.
And my buddy gave me Roxanne because he was at a red light, and then randomly the police started playing, and Roxanne just so happened to be that
Perfect.
song. So I just kept it Roxanne because she had a lot of red lights on the dashboard. So I just was like, yeah, sure, we'll just leave it there. And then the next one was Black Betty because it was black, it was small, and Ram Jam was like my shit
jam.
in that time, right? So when I was fixing to get rid of Black Betty, my Sonic, I was so fed up with driving automatic. I was like, I need a standard car. I can't do this shit anymore. I think I had that car for almost 3 years. And then I got so sick of it, and I was like, hey, I don't care how much debt I put myself into. I'm getting a new car, whether I like it or not. It's happening. So I would beat the shit out of it, literally, just purposely, just for the shit of it. And then eventually I came across my brother-in-law, but he works for Toyota Sign and Lexus, so he was always telling me about the Toyota Corolla and the hatch. So I was like, okay, I wasn't a big fan of it at first. I was like, who the hell wants a fucking Corolla? Those are garbage. What the hell? But then the more I read into it, I was like, okay, it comes six speed manual with an electric clutch. Like, this is mint. Okay, I'm cool with this. So then I ended up digging and trying to find a car, and it was so expensive. But then I ended up just pulling the trigger on one, and the guy was like, okay, we have one. 6-speed manual. It's coming from Stratford. They're going to have to drive it down here. You cool with that? I was like, yeah. He goes, it's blue. I was like, I already had a blue car. Not very good luck with that. No, thank you. He's like, no, trust me. It's a nice blue. So anyways, I got pictures and videos of the car before I had bought it. And then once it hit the dealership, I went the day before I was supposed to pick it up. I left my Sonic at the dealership. I was like, you take this hunk of shit. I'll come back for whatever's left inside it tomorrow. And I shit you not, I think I picked it up from the dealership at about like 4:00 in the afternoon. I didn't stop driving it. Like, the car didn't shut off for the next 2 weeks. I was
Oh my God.
driving the shit out. Like, I was going down back roads and just banging through gears, like just pinning it. And okay, this is going to make me sound really weird. Now, Lucille, my car, for those that don't know, is my pride and joy. Some might say she's my girlfriend, which technically speaking, yes, she's priority over any other woman in my entire life, except for my mother. My mother comes first. We know that.
Nice. Good call.
If I didn't say that on air, my mom would probably beat the shit out of me. So just in case. So that
whether
car,
it's true or not, you just had to say it. But go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. We don't know if it's true or not. Who knows?
It doesn't matter.
That car is my life, and I treat it as well as I possibly can. Aside from the fact that the bumper situation we had a couple weeks ago, that was fun. It's still painful. Yeah, it still kind of burns a bit, but I treat that car better than I treat myself. Like half the time, I don't even care if I eat. As long as I have gas in my car, I don't care. Like I will starve to death knowing that I have gas in my car, straight up. And I'm fine with that. I will die on that hill immediately. Yeah. But the way I thought about it is when I got that car, so again, I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast here specifically, that my dad was a big gearhead, right? Like he was always telling me like we're going to do this to this car. And he always told me he wanted a 1965 Chevy Nova SS in candy apple red. And I was like, I'm going to get that one day and we're going to build it. Suffice to say, my dad's not around anymore, which is a bummer, but at the end of the day, that's the dream. So that's going to happen. But this for now, Lucille, is my version of being able to go to car shows with my dad, but without him being there. So I got like his 79 Camaro and like a little decal in the back window. I got his name there and everything. And that's my way of being able to go to car shows and, and meets and whatever. And when people look at my car, like even young kids, right? Like when they stare at my car and they're like, oh my God, like, look at that thing. That's friggin' awesome. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was that kid. Right. So to me, that was, that was before it was all done up the way it is now. I don't know if I have any recents up there, but
I didn't see any yet.
Yeah, no, I gotta post some eventually. But no, I that car is my entire life. Like I will drive it until it's literally in flames, and when it's in flames, I will be sitting in the front seat burning to death.
Christining down the road with
literally
coming out. Yeah.
In the Plymouth Fury.
You are true exactly to who we're talking about with how your mode of transportation is an extension of yourself, right? It's your expression of who you are, from the sticker that means something with your father to naming it, whatever name you've chosen for it, to the color of blue that you've chosen or that you got with it. It's just such a cool thing when you can jive that outer extension of who you are with who you really are, right? So
yeah,
good. And I can understand why you'd like it. When you get a good vehicle that feels right, that drives great, you never want to get rid of it.
Well, and the cool thing is too, you don't see that many of the Corolla hatches out there. They're all the sedan, right?
Yeah, and especially in that color, which is to me, I was told that it's a version of green, which is kind of weird. But if you look at the paint in a certain light, it actually is green.
Okay.
It's just got a blue tinge to it, which is kind of nice. And it's like sparkly, which is cool.
Right.
Another point I was actually going to make, specifically because it's a standard transmission. And I know I'm a huge dick when it comes to driving stick. I've mentioned this before, I think. But the way I think of it is that if you drive an automatic car, the car is essentially an artificial intelligence. It thinks for itself. It drinks as much gas as it wants. It swells, like it burns as much oil. It doesn't matter, right? The car is its own being, right? Whereas like if you drive standard, you actually get to think for the car, right? Yeah. You're not just controlling where it goes and what direction and whatever else, right? You're actually like changing through the gears and like to me that's me being able to think for my car. So then again, it does tie into the fact that it is an extension of myself because that's me driving my car, but like I am also it makes sense in my brain. Okay.
No, I completely get it. But have you ever seen, and I knew this was going to come up. Have you ever heard Tim Allen talk about cars?
No, but I've watched Home Improvement and I think I caught some of that.
So during one of his stand-ups, he's talking about one of his cars. And he's like, so I got this, big free breathing V8, right? And he goes, and this woman is we're at a car show and she's like, oh, you men and your big V8s. It's just an extension of your penis. And he's like, oh, I wish.
This is why I drive a small car, because I know I'm not compensating for it.
That's right. Well, I clearly need to compensate. Yeah.
Anytime Shelly sees a big vehicle, a big truck, a loud truck, of something, she's up compensating for something. Yeah.
See, this is why Shelly is the bomb.
Shelly
knows what she's talking about.
Well, she ain't no dummy.
The funny
got me.
thing was when I was replacing my Grand Prix, and I bought the Trans Am. It's funny you talk about being practical and whatever. Chris was driving a '95 Cavalier, a different one than I had, and I was looking for a car, and I'm looking at Monte Carlos, Grand Prix, Cutlasses, and that same body style. Right, I love that W body, and Chris is like, "They're so square. Why don't you get something cool?" And I'm like what? And she goes like, "Get a Trans Am. Like at least the headlights flip up and tuck away." And she's like, "They're just cooler." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not practical." She says, "Well," she goes, "We have the Cavalier. We have a practical car. Buy a Trans Am." So I did.
That's awesome.
Right.
Christina's also the bomb.
Right. Right. And then, to your point, I will not eat to be able to, put gas in it to fix it and whatever. I mean, I had the car painted. I had no money. And I was like, I'm eating ramen noodles for a year to afford a paint job on my car,
And I bet at no point in time did you guys ever think how that is expression.
No.
Until this conversation.
Not at all.
Right?
Literally, yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like Sean has a lot of modifications to his car, like visual modifications. Mine are all performance to my car. Like outwardly it's bone stock. Like it's got the factory wheels on it, which were fancy to begin with.
Yeah.
It's got the ground effects and the spoiler and all that stuff. It's all factory. So I bought a car. I didn't have to do that too, but I did put a nice stereo in it. The engine is stock. I've stiffened the body with like subframe connectors, strut tower brace, and the transmission has all the Corvette servos and valve bodies and everything in it.
Okay.
So, yeah, because it's
this is great for a guy that likes to blow engines.
Yeah.
Right. See, like
I'm
like the complete polar opposite of Mark. The only thing I've ever done to my car that was performance was I put a short ram intake in it and I cut the muffler off.
Yeah.
Other than that, my car is all visual, right? So the way I think of it is what's the point of, in my opinion, I love fast cars. Don't get me wrong. I was raised on loving fast cars. Anything that went like 0 to 60 in like less than 3 seconds, I was about it 100%. Still am. But in a practical sense, to be an adult in my brain very slightly, I don't know if you guys saw the new banner that I put on my car, but it says slow but satisfied.
Yeah.
Right. So my car is slow. It's not quick by any stretch. Right. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with the way that it looks outside. I don't give a shit how fast it gets me from A to B.
Yeah.
Because you live in the city. I mean, you're not on the Autobahn.
Well,
you're not allowed to take it on a track.
And again, I mean, how old are you, Sean?
I'm going to be 28 in 2 months.
Okay. So save me the math. What year were you born?
94.
94. Okay. So now I bought that car. I bought the Trans Am in 97. So that's how much older Mark is than Sean. But at the time, and again, I think probably the statute is up on most of this, but at the time, you could go out on the 400 at like 3 a.m. and wind it up. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't get caught. And I mean, I've been pulled over plenty of times and I've never had a ticket that stuck. And but now they take your car. So
now you don't want to be
we used to take them down to Cayuga and Toronto Motorsports Park, and we would race down on the track. We would go down and test and tune days, and we'd run. I mean, my car, it's not the fastest thing out there, but it was dead.
Is that what you want to do though? Again,
not anymore.
Sticking to the theme of expression.
Yeah.
Is that something that is appealing to you to go to the track and do stuff?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I love nothing better than to put my foot into it, pulling away from a light, and I'm grinning like a 3-pecker owl.
And I get scared if I ever try and do that. I worry, is like my engine gonna blow up? Is the back wheels gonna fall off? Like, what's going
Brian? You got to let me drive with you, buddy. Come on, drive with me in my car one time, and let me show you some shit.
Well, I've driven in fast cars. I've been in a car when it was driving well. I just worry about my car.
I just love it when you're pulling away from a light and you're on it and it does the 1-2 shift. First off, it hits hard enough it'll throw you in the back seat if you're not careful. But if conditions are right and everything, and the back end breaks loose, it does like a big fishtail and then grabs again and keeps going. But it's a wild ride. It's got like 320 pound-feet of torque. It's it's a crazy ride, but
What
it's not
about
the
your
fastest
car,
thing.
Aurora? Can your car do that kind of stuff? Aurora?
I mean, it's not like slow, but it's not.
Well, and I guarantee you, what is
It's
your
not-
car? It's a Mitsubishi,
It's a Mitsubishi Lancer Sportback,
right? So it's
Yeah.
what year is it?
2017.
So I would guarantee you, if you lined up beside me in a quarter mile, you would beat me in my Trans Am. I
That's
guarantee.
fact, actually, because it's automatic. So technically, her car is shifting gears faster than you can shift gears.
Yeah, well, no, my Trans Am's automatic as well.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's why it'll throw you in the back seat on the 1-2 shift. But and it's just fast, but it's low on horsepower. Like when we used to drag race our cars, I would cross an 1/8 mile at 70 miles an hour, which is a very short amount of time.
Mhm.
But at a quarter mile, I'd be at 90 miles an hour. So like it ran out like a 15.4 at 90 miles an hour all day long, but it's not fast. Like it's not a fast car, right? At 15 seconds at a quarter mile, it's pretty slow.
And
But,
to my understanding, my car has a different kind of automatic engine. It's a CVT.
Yeah.
One. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't feel as, I don't know. Andrew kept saying when I got it, it was like, it felt very like smooth, like it wasn't changing gears at all.
The transmission doesn't jerk as much because
Yeah.
the gears,
Yeah.
the CVT transmission is like,
Yeah.
it's like this new age shit. It's like the Macintosh of transmissions, basically. So like
Yeah.
Steve Jobs came out with a transmission and was like, yeah, I'm gonna put that in a car, and then like that became the Apple product of every automatic car. No
All right.
now.
I'm looking at the Lancer on the other screen. That's a cool looking car. What color is it?
It's red.
Red.
Yeah.
Well, it's showing me a silver one. It won't let me pick red.
Yeah. I was choosing between red or blue, but I kind of went with red. I don't know. I just like red. I
And
like
is it-
both red and blue.
Yeah.
Do you feel your car represents your personality, Aurora?
I
Is
think
it
so.
is it how you express yourself in a vehicle?
Yeah. So choosing my car was a pretty big deal for me. So I had my only other car before I got a Mitsubishi Lancer was a Chevy Impala 2003 with all of the bells and whistles from that time. I didn't buy it myself. It was my grandparents' car, and they had like 4 or 5 cars, and it was my grandmother's car, but she got like a replacement car, a Buick or Sabre something, after she kind of finished with that car, and it was just kind of sitting in their driveway for a while, and they decided that they wanted to give it to me because I was going to college, and I needed a way to get from Stouffville to Etobicoke.
Holy shit.
Because the bus ride was 3.5 hours long one way. So for a while I stayed at their place, and I would go halfway, like from their place in Richmond Hill to Etobicoke. And then about after a semester's worth of doing that, they ended up gifting me their car, which was really
nice.
They weren't really using it. It was really nice.
Lucky
and
you.
I still use the plates from that car. So it was originally my grandparents' plate. So it's like it's a
nice.
license plate that starts with an A.
Cool.
So it's kind of old license plate, but
Cool.
but yeah, that was my first car, and I loved it. It's like a huge car.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, I just brought you back into focus with my magic.
Oh,
What year?
yeah. There's something weird going on with my camera today. It doesn't normally do this.
It's
I think
spooky
it's just
season.
because I'm so off
Yeah,
centered. I don't know why.
It's the new hair color. That's what it is.
it's throwing it off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's throwing it off. But yeah, so that car was like huge and big. I like that. I like that it felt like it was like a boat kind of thing. There was a big trunk, which I just put everything from college in it, like all my projects, all my random crap just ended up in the trunk. It was just a trunk full of stuff. And yeah, I
think we've all had one of those.
Oh, I have that now.
Yeah.
I had that too.
But just to confirm, I googled it. 2017 Mitsubishi Lancer. It does a quarter mile in 14.9 seconds. So yeah, you're 5.5 seconds and a quarter mile faster than my car would be.
Holy shit.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Look up a 2007
it's
G5.
It's not a slow car, but it's not like a sports car for sure. But I like it. And yeah, so I had that car, and then there was tons of problems with it. It was just not safe to drive, and you know, my grandfather loves fixing things and doing things, but he had his own kind of like not so safe way of fixing things. So he would kind of Jimmy rig stuff and put it together, and it just was so far gone. There were so many problems with it, and Andrew was like, well, this is not safe for you to drive. I don't think it's a good idea. So I started looking at cars, and it was like this long process of looking at cars that were like, you know, been around for like 5 or 10 years, or getting something new and knowing that it's mine and it's kind of start from scratch. So it was a really long process, but I ended up choosing the Lancer. I like the Subaru Impreza as well, very similar car to my car, but so much more expensive and yeah, just so much more expensive. I think was the main reason why I didn't go for it. Plus, I also know a lot of people who are like Mitsubishis. Like one of our closest friends, he also was driving one for a very long time, so he really recommended it as well. And I saw the Lancer Sportback and I ended up buying it. And yeah, it was great. I've actually had 2 of them. I had a 2015 before my 2017, but I got in a pretty bad car accident with it. It was basically, I was kind of in the middle. There was one car in front of me, and then I like fender bender, and then the car behind me was following too close and smashed into me. So both ends of my car got smashed, and it just wasn't worth. Yeah, it wasn't worth fixing, but it kept me safe, so that was the most important thing.
That's the main part.
Car can be replaced, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I got the exact same car, just 2 years newer.
Perfect. There you go. Brian, to answer your question, your G5 will do a quarter mile in 16.8 seconds.
I thought you were going to say minutes.
They have to push it across the finish line.
And I feel like these are best case scenarios.
Yes, if I did it at that speed, my fuel economy
the right way, and like on a medium temperature day in the sun with no
pick a cool
moisture on the ground. And,
cool denser air, better for horsepower.
I have a quick question, actually. So specific. Well, I get a lot of people asking me because there's a new version of my car coming out next spring, which is the Corolla GR. So it's the new 3-cylinder all-wheel drive 315 horsepower Corolla, right? So it's just like a 3-sportier. Yeah, this thing is like fast, really, really fast. But it's my car, right? So it's my car with just like a better body kit, and it's lighter, and it has a better and quicker motor, right? So many people have asked me like, hey, are you going to trade in your car for the new GR? Are you going to get something faster and all-wheel drive? And the amount of times I have to tell people or ask them if they are absolutely fucking psychotic is bonkers, because the fact that they think I would trade my Lucille, I'm not going to leave my girl like that. No way. So I'm just curious, is that if there was a newer, better model, doesn't have to be faster, but like, like for instance, if Mark had an offer for like a brand new, like 2023 Trans Am, like they just rebuilt it. It's all new. It's a whole new car. It's like 200, 300 horsepower faster. It's got more torque. It's just like the bee's knees basically of muscle cars of the new age. I'm just curious if you guys would like give up that car, like your car now, in order to get like the newer improved version. Like, would you give up what you've done with it and done for it for like something that's just like this is new?
The short answer is no. Because my car specifically, because I've had it since 97, I've got wedding photos with that car, Chris and I with the car, the wedding party with the car. It was in 3 issues of High Performance Pontiac magazine, so like it's got some nostalgia to it for me. And Mark also has a little bit of a problem letting shit go. So yeah, the short answer is no, but would I buy the new Trans Am? Yes. So like I almost bought, when I moved up here, there was a guy with a 2000 Trans Am for sale, and it had the 6-speed black T roofs, gray interior, the 5.7 liter LS1, beautiful car, ram air hood, the whole bit. And he wanted it. It was a decent price, and I damn near bought it. But then I would have 3 Trans Ams in my garage, not just 2, because I wouldn't get rid of one. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and on a nice day when I drive, I drive one, I put it back in the garage, I take the other one, and I go for another drive.
There you go, even better.
Nice.
I know Brian would get rid of his because he's like,
Well,
fuck it.
I haven't even talked about my stuff yet, so I'll let Aurora answer the question first, and then I'll do my bit.
Yeah.
Well, my car you can't get anymore, unfortunately. They stopped making this kind of Lancer. It doesn't come in a hatch anymore.
I forgot about that.
So that was kind of sad for me when I found out about that. So no, I'm just gonna hold on to this car. Like, no matter how long, I'm gonna hold on to this one. And then I guess my next car will probably be like a minivan or an SUV or something like that.
Well, don't get too far ahead with telling what you're going to get next, because at the end of the conversation, I have a question for everybody. So
yeah. So, but what I would have now is what I'm going to hold on to for a long time. It has a lot of sentimental value, and I didn't even mention this in a big part of my.
You're like a ghost that can't focus on you.
Yeah, there's something going on right now.
We should put all of us out of focus so that the viewers are like, "Oh my god, rude."
My camera's too good.
Yeah,
it's the 1999 special.
Yeah. So my car, a big part of the selection process was figuring out whether I could put a long 107-inch roll of paper in my car.
Ah, yes.
If it would fit. So I did all the measurements for something like that, and it obviously can. I can fit lighting kits. It's helped me go through 2 moves. You can put everything completely flat. It's an awesome car. It's helped me a lot. But yeah, no, I wouldn't replace this car. Hold on to it for a long time.
Yeah, that's a good car. I love your car.
Yeah,
it is nice.
They're nice. She makes a nice vehicle for sure.
Yeah, really. I'd like one. But, for me, it's always been a different story. It's always been, is it a vehicle I can afford? Right. It's never been a situation where I thought, what car do I want? Let's go buy it. That's not really the case in my world, right? So the only time I've ever really been able to do that was this last time when Shelly needed a vehicle. And I definitely wanted something to get her to work safely. So we got her a little Chevy Trax, like a newer Chevy Trax. But for me, it's always been what's available. What can I afford? My favorite vehicle I ever owned was the CRX. And the Honda CRX, it was a 1984. Loved that car. But I was working in the Upper Canada Mall.
Cool cars. They were really cool cars.
You talked about blowing a timing belt. That's how I know about that, because driving home from work, working in Newmarket, living in Oshawa, that route every day, that cost me about $8,000 in repairs to that car.
Were you on the highway at the time?
No, I was actually on Highway 2 on 2.
Yeah,
I guess it's a highway, but it's not like 401 or something. And I just it just stopped driving, and I just pulled over to the side of the road, like you said. And
dash lights up, and you're like, "We're done." You're done. You're done.
There was that time, and then of course parked in the Upper Canada Mall parking lot. I came after work outside to my car, and it's such a little car. Somebody, I guess, didn't think there was a car in the parking spot, and just went right into the back of it and just folded it right back in. And I came out and I had to strap the hood, the back latch down, and that cost me another $1,000. And it was just a big, expensive vehicle for me. But in a heartbeat, I would take that car again. Love that car. But everything else was just car convenience. My first car was a 1971 AMC. What do you call it?
The Gremlin?
Hornet. A Hornet.
Oh, Hornet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
AMC Hornet, 1971 Hornet V6. In Vermont, it was great because that thing to me had balls. I mean, it's all dirt road. So I start in the dirt road and then I start peeling out and go onto the concrete. It was awesome. But that car, basically the pipe down the center came out one day on a dirt road and just drilled into the ground. And my brother was driving and he put it in reverse and it lifted the back of the car off the ground. And it was that car was done. But for me, it's always been, Cavalier. Hi, Dixie. How you doing?
You're not paying attention to her. See?
Yeah, I'm not paying attention to her. This is the one paw, right?
Looks like a microphone.
Hello.
If I did that, she'd probably swat me in the face. That's the kind of cat she is. Yeah. But no, cars for me, it's always about practicality. Will it get me where I need to go? I walked forever almost 20 years of my marriage. I walked to work every day. I walked everywhere. I walked to my studio. I walked anywhere I had to go. I'd have to walk. I rode my rollerblades for a little while, and that was kind of fun. 6'4" dude without any kind of coordination, rollerblading to work. Yeah, good times. I didn't know how to stop, but I went pretty good. Anyway, so now that I have this car, I got this from Shelly's aunt, and it was practical, and it got me where I need to go, and it's fantastic because there's nothing better than getting in your car and driving out on a beautiful fall day and just seeing the sights. And it doesn't matter what car you're driving. It's such a freeing adult feeling to be in a vehicle, to just do what you want to do. You give it a little gas, it goes. Yeah. It's amazing when you think about it. So yeah, I mean, having a car is such an important thing, but at the same time, it's not the only method of transportation for people, guys. Right. I mean, there's so many other ways that we can express ourselves through transportation. To talk about a few of them, a lot of people are going for those electronic bicycles or mopeds. Scooters. Is there a moped? Scooter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the old moped styles, like the old styles, those are super popular. I think just getting yourself around is yet another way that we can all look at ourselves and say, who are we? What are we trying to portray? What are we trying to show people about ourselves? Yeah. And we can go for a vehicle like that.
We should all get, if we won the lottery. Get Vespas and cruise around on Vespas.
We should just go on. We should go on an Italy trip. Expressions does Italy.
Yeah, but really, it's Main Street in Newmarket here. Well, we pay a bunch of people to have like mustaches and to smell bad.
Yeah, there you go.
A bunch of people beating us with baguettes. No way.
Yes, exactly. As coming out of the shops on Main Street, yelling at us.
Some guy.
Is that what happens in Italy? I just painted a really bad picture of Italy right
or a bad picture of us in Italy. One or the other.
True. Yeah. Everybody worries about the Americans. It's really us Canadians.
Yeah, those expressions people, man, bunch of jerks.
Yeah,
we would be awful.
They'd be throwing flowers at Aurora and baguettes at us. They'd be like, she's nice, you're a jerk.
I was going to do a whole segment on, because this is expressions that people use in the car world.
Right.
But seeing as we talked for a really long time already.
We did. Well, Mark had 300 cars to talk about.
Well,
I didn't think I'd had that many, but I guess I'm old, so I have had a few.
It's not just that, though. You're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And it really is exactly why we're doing this show. And that's great. You're passionate about it. You like your vehicles.
Yeah.
So rather than going into all the different expressions, I'm going to go into like two. And I'm only going to go into two because they're things that we don't think about until it's brought up. And this is a classic one that I don't know if you guys have ever heard before, but when you're a third wheel.
Yep.
A third wheel in a party or anything like that. So a third wheel, the motoring expression relates to an uneven number of people. If you're the third wheel or spare wheel, there's normally no need for you. You may feel a little left out and sometimes awkward. But is that true? How many vehicles do we know that have three wheels? Very many.
No, it was the...
There was like a couple.
What was it called? And they all had the same problem, right? Because the third wheel was on the front.
Hammerschmidt.
And they tipped.
They have
a
club for it.
Car because I know my great grandmother, one of her husbands had one of those cars.
Messerschmitt.
That with a 3-year. Forget.
They did a snippet of it
Yeah.
on Top Gear.
Yeah, the Reliant Robin. That
Yeah.
was it.
Oh, okay. And well, hey, most 3-wheel vehicles I know were taken off the road, probably unsafe. So being a third wheel is not a good thing. My way or the highway is something I say all the time.
I feel like that's an expression that I say a lot because there's a lot of people in my life that it's like if it's not done their way, you're gonna get the fucking boot, basically.
What I think is funny is that it's an expression of giving somebody a choice when really there is no choice. It's either my way or you're gone.
It's like a
Right,
rhetorical
so-
question. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So all these car expressions, I mean, we could spend a whole day going over them, but we're not going to because they're kind of lame. So instead of that, I'm going to go and talk about in closing of our episode because I don't think there's a whole lot else there in my notes that, I mean, I could go on and on and on about all the cool things that, like when I was selling car audio, my buddy John had a truck, the Thunder truck that he did up for himself to make it look like a showpiece for his vehicle. And that's for his business, I should say. Again, that's another method of expression is using your vehicle as something for your business, right?
Yeah, I think the car community is a very cool community to be a part of. Like, although I wouldn't say I am a part of the car community, and Andrew's a huge car person. But it's something that he's talked about ever since he could talk, kind of thing.
You are in that you have a car and you love your car, right? So
Yes, but there's something about the car community that I really like. It's just like people just can come together about one topic and just park in a parking lot and walk around and just look at cars and just enjoy the night kind of thing, and you have conversations with random strangers about this topic, right? There's something really nice about that community.
Yeah.
Camaraderie. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sean's just nodding. You love it. You miss it.
Yeah.
You know what? I've had my fair share of ins and outs with car meets and car shows, and honestly, I think Aurora makes a point though. But like, there's to not trying to compare it to skateboarding, but it's the only analogy I have. But like, there's people in certain groups that like ruin it for everyone else. So I know and have known people that have ruined car meets for me entirely. Like it's a pain in the ass, right? But I know for a fact that when I drive to Burlington or to Woodstock to meet with my my Corolla group, yes, there's a Corolla group, there's a bunch of us. We're all what?
It's at least 4.
No, there's like 400 or 500 people in this group. Like there's a lot.
Wow.
But like the fact that we're not all just coming together just because we have the same interest in the same car, we have the same car. We, for lack of a better term, and I swear to God, I'm not quoting Vin Diesel, but we've become somewhat of a family within that general, what's the word? Fucking, I feel stupid now. My brain is moving faster than my mouth. We have like just the same, we enjoy the same things, right? So when I go down to Burlington, my gas isn't the only thing that I'm worried about. You know what I mean? I'm worried about like, what the fuck we're going to talk about, right? But when I get there, it's like, hey man, like what's going on? Like, what have you done to your car? Like, this is what I did to my car. Like, this is fucking sick. I love your car. I love my car. Like it's great. We all have the same common interests. We know what we like. And we come together as one to just kind of enjoy that thing, right? So we're not just sitting there huffing each other's exhaust fumes for no reason, right? Like we're sitting there, we enjoy the company of each other. We don't just talk about cars. We talk about, new jobs and stuff that we do outside of the car club, right? So
Now, do you find that people that drive the same car like the same things as far as the other things go? Are your personalities more similar when you like the same car?
now for me, it depends, right? Because I know that the Corolla guys and gals that I have met, they're all genuinely nice human beings. Like they're like, it's actually scary how nice they are. Like it's terrifying that these are real human beings.
Pretty practical too.
Yeah,
Corolla.
they're crazy, man. It's like I've never met anybody so well, aside from you guys, but I've never met anybody so nice and so genuinely like caring. You know what I mean? But like, different cars have different groups, right? Like a friend of mine has a a 2016 Focus RS. Now, that group that he's in, he tells me about all the time. It's just a bunch of grumpy old men and kids that were spoon-fed, money from their parents or their grandparents, right? Which I wasn't given the privilege of personally, but they're just a bunch of like stuck-up assholes, from what I understand, from what I've been told, right? And it just becomes, you just become the people you surround yourself with, right? So needless to say, I'm whittling down my friendship circle in the car group area. So it's tough.
Yeah, I know what you mean too. Like there's people who ruin it for everybody else that just do things irresponsibly and
Oh, absolutely. They do things irresponsibly, or they do things like there's one thing to turn your own wrenches, but then there's another thing to turn them unsafely and do modifications to your car that really knock either the handling or the safety aspect of the car out of it, right? Like
not even just like how they upgrade the car and whatnot, doing that unsafely, the way that they are unsafely, driving around in these heats or doing donuts in the parking lot, right near a bunch of other people's cars and people and stuff like that. I've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
At a couple meets in the Vaughan area.
You can understand that.
Anywhere specific, but
La Paloma probably.
When you spend so much money souping it up and caring so much about your vehicle, you want to enjoy it. You want to rip it. You want to, like, I hear it all the time. One of the coolest things when the pandemic hit was not hearing the cars on the road. Everybody was home. Now everybody's crazy again, and all I hear in the middle of the night are like motorcycles winding out and cars winding out at Yonge Street. I can hear that from my house. It's crazy. So definitely. I mean, you get those people that are going to ruin anything, even camera clubs, right? You get a couple people that could ruin a camera club. It's all it takes. Which is where the human influence really sucks, and which is where the ego factor of souping up your car comes into play. And didn't talk about it yet, but I probably should. Mercedes and BMW drivers.
Oh God, the people that don't know how to use their turn signals, those people.
Like, are these cars all so well built and so good that when you're driving or buying them, they give you a lesson on how to be a bad driver?
No,
like you don't have to drive anymore. Your car's so good it can do it for you. Is that how it works?
Mercedes is expensive poo-poo, and then BMW is nothing but motor problems. So if you want to spend that kind of money on a car that is not going to last you, then that's your own prerogative.
But I have seen definite personality traits.
About this.
Oh yeah,
I've definitely seen personality. Give you an example. Today I was out trying to buy a mask. I want to do a light painting TikTok video thing. So I was looking for this cool mask. It's Halloween. I figured that's the best time to find it. I couldn't find anything. I get back in my car, and some dude runs out of the store, gets in his vehicle, and is backing out and taking off before I even see him put a seatbelt on or anything. Before that though, when he got in his car, he had to like sit way in the front like this, and he was like trying to squeeze himself into the car, and he was like driving like this. And I was like, "There's something weird about this guy." It was just, I got a vibe off of him, like there was something off. He didn't put his seatbelt on, and he tore out of there. And as soon as he drove off, I saw he was driving a BMW. I'm like, of course. Now, let me not generalize, because that there are good people that drive all kinds of cars. But can we not agree?
Except BMWs.
I don't want to do that.
I remember when we talked about this. It was on Planet Pointless.
When we were on your show?
When we were on their show. It was me and Brian on the show. It's Unpopular Opinions.
Am I the only person that has it?
Refer to that episode for my BMW rant.
Okay. All right. So check out Planet Pointless for that episode.
What the difference between a BMW and a porcupine is, right?
One knows how to use the turn signal?
Porcupine has the pricks on the outside.
All right. Now, that being said, a disclaimer, there could be some really nice people driving BMWs. I'm sure it happens. Yeah. But I think what'll happen, what I'm trying to get at is, I think when people are putting their personalities and their egos into the vehicles they choose, you're going to get that. If you're buying yourself this expensive, $100,000 vehicle, because it has flashy tires and because it has a powerful engine and because it performs like a bugger and all these things, you want to use those things, right? And I can tell you from driving my buddy John's truck the Thunder truck with 4 18-inch subwoofers in the back and ported 4-inch by 2-foot port going from the bed of the truck into the cab of the truck with front component speakers, all custom built panels and the whole EQs and the Zapco amplifiers and all the things that John had in there. Whenever I got a chance to drive that thing, I wanted to drive over somebody. I wanted to drive through somebody. I felt manly. I felt tough. Nobody could bother me. Oh yeah, you're driving one of the whatever. Like you get a different feeling when you drive these vehicles. So, oh, by the way, for those of you who've noticed, John, the guy I'm talking about, made this sign for me. And
I noticed that earlier. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm
Round
just
of
so
applause
happy.
for John. Shout out John.
He made this for us, and the colors are perfect, and everything is perfect.
It's
He
wood,
even signed
right?
it. Yeah, it's made out of maple, and it's just beautiful. So thank you, John, for that. Little sidetrack there. I thought I'd give John some props. But yeah, I mean, the vehicle you drive has a definite impact in how you act and how you perform. And in my car, I mean, I drive so legally. I won't do a single thing wrong in my car ever. A, because it doesn't drive very fast, but B, because it's a very practical car, and I'm a very practical guy, and I don't need a ticket. I haven't had a ticket since I was, I don't know, Sean's age, maybe even a little bit younger. So that's kind of me, and that's what I've noticed in vehicles is your personality will come out in the vehicle you choose. And if we go through our list again one more time, Aurora with the Mitsubishi, red, just like her top. Mark driving the Trans Ams and the SUVs and the more powerful vehicles because he loves that old power vehicle thing. Sean with his really nice, well done Toyota, practical and yet very fun and energetic feeling, just like him. I think the point that I was trying to make in the whole concept of having the show has been made. Our vehicles are a definite representation of our personalities and are a form of our expression, and I love that.
Yeah.
Now, this leads me to the final 3 questions of the night, guys. Unless you have anything else you'd like to add before we get there.
All good.
To go.
I got one thing actually.
What's that?
Did I ever tell you about the sticker that I have on my driver's side door, like my driver door?
No.
So my boss gave me a sticker back when I worked at a dealership, I think a couple of years ago, and it's a small little black sticker, but it sits like, so when I'm driving, the sticker will literally sit right next to my head, right? So on the sticker, it says, "Do I fucking look like a people person?" And I think this is funny because every time I go to a drive-through, if I'm getting food or whatever, or coffee, and I'm always like super, super nice, and it's kind of scary. Like, like, thank you so much. Like, have a good day. Like, blah, blah. But like when they read the sticker, I immediately get shitty looks. Because like
You're just a conundrum.
Exactly, right? So I like to confuse the hell out of people. It's for some reason it makes me laugh. I don't know why. But I know for a fact that when especially when people are looking at my car and like if it's at a show or like a meet or whatever, and when people are looking at my car, they're like, "Do I look like a fucking people person?" I'm like, I know, right? It's funny. So it's fun to confuse
your personality
people.
right there.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Mark, do you have any stickers on your car?
On my Trans Am, I do have one from a car club I used to be in that I've just been too lazy to remove at this point. And the club doesn't exist anymore. Like it was an online club thing, probably very much like your Corolla Club that has its roots online and then people meet. And they were all the guys, everybody was in Welland at the time. So I used to regularly drive to Welland for dinner and for car shows and stuff like that from Bradford or Innisfil. And but I just haven't taken it off. But I didn't drive the car for 10 years, right? Because
now it's nostalgia. You got to leave it on.
Speeding tickets and all, I couldn't afford to drive it. So,
jeez.
and like I said, never got a ticket stuck in a Trans Am. All my tickets were for work while I was driving like a Honda or something.
How about you, Aurora? What kind of stickers do you have on yours?
So I lost one just recently because I replaced my windshield. It was like a little Jughead hat sticker.
Yep.
Where my sit in the car, on the windshield, and then on the back, like the back window, I have a sticker from a manga cafe that no longer exists in Markham, but one of our friends owned it or two of the friends owned it for a few years was an awesome place because they had games and all that stuff. And then below that, I have a sticker that says "Friends Don't Lie" in Stranger Things text.
Cool.
It's like red and stuff. So yeah, those are the stickers I have.
I've got a wrestler I know. His name is Puff. So I got 2 of them. So that way, when I'm driving past somebody, it'll say "Puff Puff" as I pass them.
I definitely have seen that sticker before.
Yeah.
But I've never heard the explanation of it.
That's why. And I've got a Screaming Heads decal from Screaming Heads in Berks Falls, because Screaming Heads is awesome. And it's hilarious because with that sticker on your car, all of a sudden people start honking at you because Harvest Fest is up there with this big hippie fest. It's like Woodstock North. Every year it's like a big rave up in the middle of the mountain or of the trees and stuff. In the middle of nowhere. So every time somebody sees that, they're like, "Oh, you went to Harvest, yay!" And I'm like, "No, I just like going up there because it's creepy." And then I have a national parks sticker. I'm very careful with what stickers I put on my car. I don't want to have like a lot of stuff. Has to be in the right spot. So very minimalist. I'm a big guy, big time fan of the national park system, nature in general. I love my wrestling, and Puff is awesome, and I just think that's funny. And the Screaming Heads is something that Shelly and I go when we have a long day to just do whatever we want to do. We'll take a day trip up there and wander through their hundreds of acres full of tall Screaming Head statues coming out of the ground. It's awesome.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
they're pretty
very basic. Okay, back to my 3 questions, guys, and then I'll let you all go. So Mark, you can eat, and we can, and Sean, you can pee and other things. All right. Okay, so the first question is, instead of our usual 3 questions that we ask, because we've already answered those questions, the first question is, if you could have any car in the world, what would it be? The second question is, why would it be? And the third question is, what customization would you do to it?
Now you're making my heart hurt, man. I gotta pick something. Damn it.
Yep.
I've got an
Aurora,
answer
you go
for this.
first.
I would have a 1956 Bel Air with like 2-tone white and like tealish blue, and then I would probably just make it automatic so I can drive it without struggling. Although
Sounds
I feel like
frigid.
that hurt Mark and Sean there for a second.
I don't have a stick car in the group right now. I don't own any sticks, so I've had several, but I don't own one now.
It's okay. I'll let
That's
it slide
awesome.
this time.
56 Bel Air. I could totally see that. It's funny, actually, because when you were talking about your bicycle, my first thought when I thought about you owning a bike
And white wall tires.
was
Sorry.
a Pee Wee Herman bike,
Yeah.
which is exactly a 1956 Bel Air in bicycle form. So
Yeah.
I think that's so funny.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, Mark, what would you have if you could have any car in the world?
1987 Buick Grand National,
Oh
And
yeah.
and it would be bone stock, nothing done to it.
Oh.
Sweet.
Oh.
Sean, how about you, man?
Okay, so I've mentioned this before, but the 1965 Chevy Nova SS, mainly because my dad always wanted one, and this is the dream. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it happen. He always wanted one. He was telling me about it for years. It's drilled into my brain. I'm gonna make it exactly the way he described it to me when I was a kid, and then eventually I'm gonna just put it on a straight line and fucking beat the hell out of it.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Well, I hope we all get to do these because, I mean, cars are so cool.
They
Oh,
are.
Yeah.
They really are.
How about you, Brian?
Yeah, what was yours, Brian?
It's kind of split between 2. For the nostalgia, I'm going to have to go with Sean and follow what my father always wanted, which would be a 1971 MGB. He had one. He loved that car. I have my dad's biography over here, and he wrote about that car with the most love you can ever imagine. But of course, they had their own engine issues, which I don't want to deal with. So my personal car that I really want to have, if I could have any car in the world, would be a 1989 Honda CRX. Stock, absolute stock, but pristine, in perfect running condition, with an awesome sound stereo in there. I mean, I have to have a good system.
Yep.
But a CRX is my dream car, guys. I have very low aspirations. I don't need a crazy high expensive vehicle, but I had an 84 CRX and I loved it, and I need this car. I need this car. It's only a 2-seater, which is great because
There's
you
only
don't have
two
to
of
give
you.
people rides. You don't have to give people rides anywhere. It can be me and Shelly. That's it. You
Yeah,
know?
we did that, but we just put dogs in the back. So you're like, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Dust, you'll tear your face off. So no, you're not.
Like what back seat? What are you talking about?
Plus, my back seat, there technically is a back seat in a CRX, but you don't want to be in it. But my back seat is going to be a 12-inch sub with 6-inch, a 10-inch, no, sorry, a 15-inch sub with 10s, 6 tweet in the front. With I've got the whole system all designed. I've already got it. Like I literally have it right. I think in this little folder right here, my entire car system that I want to have in my CRX. So yeah, definitely, it's been a dream of mine since.
Planning thing again, right? I just start throwing parts at shit. And...
Not me. I've got lists for everything. I've got everything listed. But even the shed that I want to make with all the hardware that I want to use and the whole thing, I've got it all drawn up in 3-dimensional. I'm a bit weird like that.
There you go. Awesome.
All right. Well, that was fun. I think we've all done our dream car. Yes.
It was a good.
Yeah. All right.
Good chat.
Good show. Good talk. Good conversation. Lots more we could probably go on about with our
For
vehicles,
sure.
but
Probably
I
talk
think
cars for hours.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But that was fun. I really appreciate you guys being here this week. I think we're coming to the end of our season 2. We're at episode 32. We're going to close off at episode 35 for the end of this season. And season 3 is going to be a lot different. I have a prediction that we're going to change things up for season 3. Topics might be very similar, but we're gonna change things up a little bit and modernize our show. I think they're going to continue on without me for the next season, and we'll see how that goes. But no, I'm joking. I love doing this.
We might get canceled. So
I don't know about you guys.
It's my
I
fault.
still feel as much love for doing this podcast as I did day one.
Yeah.
I'm still absolutely thankful that Aurora, Mark, you guys are both here still. Sean and John, you guys are a great addition, and I want that to continue forever. We're going to see how things go and go from there. We had a few episodes that we couldn't shoot recently. Hopefully we'll make those up again soon. And other than that, anything you guys want to say before we say goodnight tonight?
that's it. Thanks for being here.
That's it.
That's all.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Aurora's
thanks.
no longer with us. She's a webcam utility now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. So here's
Okay.
my take. Your Nikon, it shut off because of battery, maybe?
I think it's battery, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The Nikon that I used last was the Z30, and that shut off every 30 minutes because it overheated. Not cool.
Yeah.
Today I'm using a Sony A7 III, which I'm finding is very, very nice. And I've got the aperture closed so that you can actually see that sign, because if I opened it up, you wouldn't see the sign as much. So
You see it, it's just kind of fuzzy, like me.
Yeah.
all right, that's it for us, everybody. Thank you all so much for sticking with us again this week, and we will see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Ooh.